have another incredible Tuesday testimonial for you. I hope you will enjoy this and hope most of all that it'll bring you hope. Knowledge is power, right? My name is Dale ECUYER, and I help families create health and harmony using holistic mental wellness solutions. And I have Angela Lewis with me here today. She's a registered dietitian. She's also an integrative nutritionist. So, Angela, where were you at? I know you were, in a bad place, and then you started to change things once you got your gut back in balance, which is kind of like people are thinking, like, what is that about? So,
Yeah.
give us an idea of where you were and where you are now.
Yeah, so I'd be happy to share that. I basically had gone through years, probably close to 10 years of chronic stress, just various life stressors. And over a period of time, it really took a toll on me. And I didn't really realize it as it was happening. But the further along I got in that process, I developed, things like insomnia. I had chronic insomnia. I would wake up in the middle of the night and just lay there. Just,
Ugh,
I would get anxiety. And it
wow.
was just the whole spiral that was happening, and I am a registered dietitian, as you said in your introduction. And so I felt like I was doing so many things right. I feel like my
Mhm.
nutrition is good. I mean, I think we can always all exercise a little more, but I felt like my lifestyle was okay and pretty good, except for just the amount of stress that I had that I wasn't able to manage. It was just kind of beyond what I could handle. And then it played out in my health. And really, one of the
Mm.
tipping points for me was, I think it was July of 2019, that I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, like I really
Mm.
have to get this under control because my body is giving me messages.
Yeah.
And this is one that I don't need to ignore because that's an autoimmune condition that if not controlled, will just continue to get worse. So
Right.
that's really what turned my head and made me start really thinking I need to do something differently.
So what would you say was like the main stressor? Was it just like being a mom, like over the years? Was it just
Well, I've been a single mom, so I
okay?
would say that
Mhm.
has that, and just personal life issues that revolve around that. Really were that was a lot. I have
Yeah.
right now almost a 15-year-old and almost a 17-year-old,
Mhm.
and I mean we're talking about mental wellness, so their biological dad has a lot of issues and things that he deals with in that area, and so that plays into our lives as well, even though
Absolutely.
we haven't been together for a very long time. So it was all around that.
Yeah.
Working full time, I manage 18 other dietitians in my
Wow.
job, and just raising kids and doing all the things
Mm.
that us women put on ourselves
Right.
to do.
So did you went and you were seeking out ways to help you? You mentioned that you were on a bunch of meds, and so
Mhm.
did you get to a point where you were like, this is not working, this is not helping, or were you just wanting to maybe do something more natural?
Well, I would say it's a combination of both. I did have a holistic practitioner that I used to see here. I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina,
Mhm.
and she moved completely into hormone replacement therapy. And so I kind of like lost the provider that I preferred to be with. And then in seeking treatment just to like try to feel better and to cope, I did end up on several prescription medications, one for insomnia, one for anxiety, one for depression.
Wow.
And I never felt happy about that because I didn't like being on medications, and I knew that there was a better way to do it. I just couldn't like put my finger on
Mm.
what that was and how to do it. And unfortunately, a lot of holistic providers don't accept insurance, at least in my part of the country. And the one I
Mhm.
was going to did. So when she stopped seeing just regular, general medical patients, it kind of put me in a bind to where I had to find someone that I could use my insurance with. And that's kind of how I ended up on these prescription medications.
I see.
But I still just wasn't feeling that much better, because
Hmm.
there's other side effects that come along with those.
Right. So let's fast forward. So were you familiar with the gut brain axis science, or was it something like totally new to you and then you were like, wow, this makes sense?
Yeah, I actually was not familiar with it. And I feel like really embarrassed saying that as a registered dietitian. But there's probably multiple physicians and other providers that would say the same thing, because I graduated from college 20 years ago and I have
Mhm.
done a lot of continuing education, but I've always been in like the clinical hospital setting. I've, focused on
Yeah.
critical care and, really sick patients. And so I just didn't pay as much attention to the things like that were coming out. But now I do. And now I'm like
Yeah.
all about it. I have a blog on it where I write about issues with women and mental wellness and gut health and
Wow.
all of that.
So tell us
So,
where you're at now in terms of how you're feeling, and are you on any more meds or any of that?
so I'm not on any prescription medications. I'm only on one for my thyroid, and it's actually a non-synthetic. It's called Armor Thyroid.
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm not on anything for anxiety, nothing for depression, nothing for insomnia. And I generally, 90% of the time sleep well. And everything that I'm doing now that I've focused on, the gut brain axis and healing my gut and microbiome has made just the biggest difference.
Wow.
So it's
So
been
how
about a year and
long?
a half.
About a year and a half. So how long before you started really noticing changes, like noticing a shift was as you started to balance your gut?
I would say with the combination of products that I was taking, within the first couple of weeks, I was able to notice a difference in my energy level. I actually kept like a journal for like the first 12 weeks because I'm like, I need to like make sure things are working if I'm going to be taking them. And
Mm.
so I can look back at that. But the first couple of weeks, I was noticing a difference with my energy level,
Wow.
my mood. It was kind of like a slow progression over, I would say, a good 60 to 90 days. And now when I try to help other people, always recommend give it at least 90 days because it does take a while to reverse some of the damage that we've done to our bodies. So,
Right, right.
but I mean, I still sometimes feel like I still see things that have evolved even a year and a half later.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's like peeling an onion.
Yeah,
It gets better and better, and then sometimes you uncover some other things that need to be healed, and then you that's when you see
exactly.
different results. It's like definitely keeps going. It's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
So now are you still a registered dietitian now? Like, are
Yes.
you practicing? Yes.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So
I
do
don't
you,
actually see patients in
okay.
practice anymore because I'm in a management role now.
I see.
But
Okay.
yeah, but I still work in the hospital. It's a large hospital here in the city where I live, and I'm very much into malnutrition, food insecurity, and the gut brain axis. So I feel like I have two careers in nutrition.
Mhm.
Like one
Right.
is very clinical and one is very like holistic. So
Yeah. Well, that's awesome that you can teach both,
yeah.
bring it into the practice or into the
Hmm.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate this. I mean, we have to like shout this from the mountaintops because people
Yeah.
just don't know that it exists. And if you want to see more stories like this, really mind blowing, life changing, I have a group called Mental Wellness Warriors, and I would love to invite you in to see some more. And we're talking about even children having amazing results, people with autoimmune, like you mentioned,
Hmm.
people with mood, anxiety, just energy overall. Sleep is a huge one. Like if you're not sleeping, that just messes up.
Yeah. Everything.
It totally does, like totally messes up everything, causes like major issues mentally, but physically too, because your body doesn't get that time to
Right.
restore.
Hmm.
It's so critically important. So it's clinical, it's scientific, like our
Yeah.
products are clinically shown to do what they do. So been
Right.
proven. It's amazing. All right. Well,
Yes.
thank you so much. I appreciate
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah.
You stay well, and we'll see you again.